I just want to say hello to some faces I don't always get to see. The Bainbridges have a child or two. Are they both there? Beth and Blair? I see one of you.
Just Beth, Blair was here earlier.
It's great to see you. I'm glad you're in town. I was going to say, and Felix, I see you on. We love having you. It's wonderful. And Lois, we love to have you on as well. So all of you, I don't want anyone to feel left out, but just a couple new faces, but it's wonderful to see you all. We're going to go ahead and begin. And as this is, I believe, the weekend that we in Dayton at least are recognizing Pride Month with Pride Weekend, our opening meditation when we get to it is one that will hopefully reflect some inclusivity, because we at Temple are not just about each other, but we are looking out at our community and those who we may know or may not know who are in need of our support in everyday living, that they are not necessarily treated with full equality. But we'll begin by recognizing the importance of us all being here together with Hine Matov.
Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Olam chesed yibana, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. 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 I will build this world from love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. And you must build this world from love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. And if we build this world from love, yadadai, 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 then God will build this world from love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Ooh, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Ooh, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And as I mentioned before, we have ourselves, our members, our community, and our community at large that we want to recognize and lift up and be in partnership together with those among us who are part of the LGBTQ community. And so in that honor, we'll read a beautiful reading by Rabbi Reuben Zalman, Twilight People. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. And we are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories or between place and place. We are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light and swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight.
I'll ask those of you who are able to please rise, whether it be physically or in spirit, for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vayed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vayed.
You may be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'ribarata b'ham v'shivtecha v'veitecha uvlektecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'chumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mizuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem gedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lehiot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem,
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. All woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. When Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam the prophet took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We've just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lo tosefele, norati lo tosefele. Malchut ra'u v'anecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'elianu ve'amru, ze'elianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai, yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Adonai Safatai Tiftach Ufi Yagit Hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasei Avot V'imot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hoseh u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Zrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Horid Atah, Mechalkel Chayim V'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol V'Rachamim Rabim, Tomech Noflim V'Rofeh Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, V'Yechamocha Ba'al Givurot, U'Midol Melach, Melech Memit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua. B'nei Aman Atah L'chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yahalelucha Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You may be seated. And we now take a moment for silent prayer and meditation. Ratzon imrefi ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri ve'goali ve'goali.
So tonight I wanted to share with you a story, but to be respectful of copyright, I won't actually share the entire story from the book, but it comes from a book called The Purim Superhero, which happens to be one of the first books that PJ Library picked up that addresses LGBTQ issues. And so this, I'm also giving you the slightly more adult version than the one for the PJ Library kids. I think you're just a little bit outside their age range. But I'm 99% certain we have this book at Temple, and if not, I can make sure that we do, and it's not just in my basement. But so the book starts off with this little boy, Nate, who is at Hebrew school on a Sunday with his friend shortly before Purim. And his best friend, Max, leans over and asks him, "What are you going to dress up at Purim?" And Nate whispers back, "I want to be an alien." And Nate really, really loves aliens. He likes to draw them. He likes to read about them. He even likes to look out his window at night just in case he might see one out there. And Max whispers back to him that all the other boys in their class are going to dress up as superheroes. "All the boys?" Nate asks. "Yep, all the boys," Max replied. And now here I can imagine what Nate is feeling, that he really, really, really wants to be an alien, but there's some pressure on him from those around him to be something else. And so at dinner that night, one of his dads asked what he and his sister want to be for Purim, and his sister is going to be a rock star. And then she chimes in that Nate wants to be a superhero. And one of his dads says, "You want to be a superhero? I was all ready to make you an alien costume." By the next week at Hebrew school, Nate tells Max that he's decided he is going to be a superhero. Initially, he tells his dads he's not so sure. And Max then asks him, "Which superhero are you going to be?" And Nate's like, "I got to choose." And Max tells him, "Oh, well, I'm going to be Batman, and so is going to be Hulk, and this one's going to be that one." And I know most of these superheroes. I think Wolverine was in there too. And which one was Nate going to be? And Nate, he wasn't so sure. So that night, Nate asked one of his dads about superheroes. And his daddy tells him how heroes are strong and courageous people, and superheroes are just heroes with special powers that help them. And Nate thinks a lot about that. And then he thinks about how most kids have a mom and a dad, and not a daddy and an abba, which is the Hebrew word for dad, like he does. And so then he goes and he asks his abba, "Do you ever just want to be like everybody else?" And his abba answers, "You know the Purim story? Queen Esther saved the Jews because she didn't hide who she was. She told a king Ahasuerus she was Jewish and that her people were in danger. Sometimes showing who you really are makes you stronger, even if you're different from other people." Nate decides what to do, but in the meantime works really hard to keep his costume a surprise. And if you want to go read the book, I won't tell you exactly how he does that. But in the end, he decides and he shows up as the super alien. Now, I'm sure none of you saw that coming. He creates this character that is an alien who can fly without a spaceship, who is very brave. And of course, because this is a kid's book, he wins the prize for the most original costume, and his friends all start to talk about what they can dress up as next year to be whatever they want, that they don't all have to be a superhero or all have to be some same category of costumes. This story reminded me a bit of the scouts in this week's Torah portion, Shlach Lecha, that are sent out to the land of Israel to scope it out and report back. And we know the story goes that 10 of the scouts come back, and perhaps out of fear or other emotions, they basically say, the land's inhabited by a bunch of giants, and I'm not so sure we can overcome them. And only 2 of the 12, Caleb and Joshua, report back favorably about the land, and that, there might be some challenges, but you know this God that's been with us for a while, I think we can trust God. I imagine that Nate probably felt a little bit like Joshua and Caleb. They really wanted to do one thing, but there was pressure from the group to do something different, to do something that wouldn't be true to that which was within themselves and their own experience. And it's interesting to me that these 2 stories come together on this first Shabbat of Pride Month. The implied part in the book is that Nate's parents probably felt a great deal of pressure in their own lives to be more like everybody else, which wouldn't be true to who they were. And his 2 dads' message was that being different can be a source of strength. And that's an important one for all of us, even if it's coming from an illustrated kids book. Whether it relates to our gender identity, expression, sex, or attraction preferences, or other forms of our personal expressions of ourselves. We learned from multiple places this week and this month that it's important to find the courage to be true to ourselves and to draw strength from both what brings us together as one and what makes us the unique one amongst the group. May you find in yourselves the self-confidence of Caleb, Joshua, Esther, and Nate.
Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech et ha'cholim, May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those among us who are ill. We think especially of Phil Rubin, Tony Lobertini, Marlene Maiman, Cicely Nathan, Sarah Swenson, Candace Chapin, Bob Archer, Diane Schreer, Jim Hagan, Ellie Mendelson, Rhonda Hathaway, Gershon Reuven Ben Esther, Linda Dean Harris, Rivka Bat Avraham Visara, William Rossi, Rosalind Moss, Pat Bloom, Ronald Epstein, Helen Fine, James Hockman, Christine Wagner, Tracy Huddleston, Joe McKenna, Jerry McDonald, Richard Lieberman, Joel Pinsker, Marty Sacker, Bob and Gert Kahn, Chelsea Smith, and Deborah Seidel, and of course, those who we name now in our hearts. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Yisheverach imotenu mekol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Ask those of you to please rise, whether it be in spirit or physically, for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
At this time, our thoughts turn to those whom death has recently taken from us. We think at this time, as we are in a period of Aninut, we think especially of Mark Romanowski and Lois Cook. We are also observing a period of Shloshim for Robert Hockman and Brett Finster. We also want to remember those who have died at this season in years past, for whom we are observing Yahrzeit. We especially think of Gloria Albert, Blake Bowell, Leo Boyd, Martha F. Kaplan, Lou Cooper, Sydney Copeland, Elaine Donenfeld, Marcella Nathan Ehrlich, Rosella G. Epstein, William L. Fleece, Kitty Friedman, Fan B. Gershow, Bertha Levin Goldberg, Harold Goldberg, Harry Goldberger, Grace Goldberger, Robert Gorton, Sarah Gralnick, Eliza Hurston, Susie Katz, Edward Klaben, Evelyn Leibovich, Marguerite L. Margolis, Sylvia Margolis, Edward I. Phillips, Gabriel Pollock, Elmer Rao, Thomas Rutman, Isidore Sajevitz, Howard Sokolsky, Ben Schottenstein, Emma B. Schwab, Albert Schwenk, A. James Snyderman, Louis Supri, Herman Wasserman, Thomas Weprin, Joseph A. Zisson, all who we name in our hearts. And if there's anyone who we would like to name out loud or perhaps correct a pronunciation, I invite you to call that forward at this time and unmute yourselves. And I invite all who are remembering or in mourning to please rise at this time. And then we as a congregation rise with you for the sacred words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zikronam livracha, may their memories always and only be for a blessing. And we conclude with the words of our closing prayer. You may be seated if you'd like. We thank you, O God, for our family and for what we mean and bring to one another. We are grateful for the bonds of loyalty and affection which sustain us and for the capacity to love and to care. Bless our family, our congregation, our country, and our people with health, happiness, and contentment. Above all, grant us the wisdom to build a joyous and peaceful home in which your spirit will always abide, to which we say, Amen.
I'll invite those of you who have candles to join me in the candle lighting and blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And feel free to grab your fruit of the vine as we join together in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon yinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu b'chata v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodecha v'hava uvratzon yinchalanu. Baruch And I'm hoping one of the rabbis perhaps has some challah, because I do not. Or if not, we can all imagine challah in our heads. Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise and sung together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. B'tei avon, Shabbat Shalom. Sort of a disappearing challah, but it works. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to wish your friends and fellow congregants a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom, y'all.
Shalom.
Shalom.